I think I'm live. Oh, this is what happens when I try to. I'm live now, and this is what happens when I do shit without tattoo. I was talking for the last 8 minutes thinking I was live. I'm sorry. That's what happens when I'm without tattoo. Damn it, tattoo. Tattoo's not feeling well tonight. So I'm all alone, man. But there's a lot to talk about. I'm going to just double down on what I was just saying for quite some time. Sorry, I'm technically challenged. I do need tattoo. I need tattoo. Tattoo does these things for me, and I can't get my way out of a wet paper bag sometimes. Anyways, let's talk. There's a lot of shit going on, a lot, and I think we need to talk about it. I've never seen a market like this ever in my career. I want to get to everyone's questions, and we can do that. Let me look at the questions first before I go down this road, because I don't need to repeat myself over and over and over again. Yeah, none of them are the ones yet. So let me set the stage, I guess, and then we can answer questions. I'll answer a couple real quick. The A-Mark Precious Metals Group buying Spectrum. The CEO of A-Mark owns Stacks. He always did. He was I believe, the owner of Stacks. So Spectrum, being an offshoot of that, they're all connected. And the CEO, Greg Roberts, I believe is his name. It's a publicly traded company. That's been his business before. So they're all connected somehow. Trump grew up in Queens. The people I've met from Queens, including Tattoo, are some of the most extraordinary people I've ever met. They just get it. They get it. You know what it is? Can bring these kind of people to a black tie party or to a biker bar, and all is good. They get it. I want to talk about Trump going back to a gold standard. I didn't see that, and I want to talk about gold going through. So let's see here. I don't know. We put this damn stuff on Tattoo. There you go. Trump said a couple hours ago he's thinking of going back to a gold standard. I want to talk about that, and I also want to talk about Curtis's gold going through 2,800, 2,900. This seems deliberate. I do believe it is deliberate. I want to talk about what's happening right now. Because what's happening right now, I've done this for 35 years. What's happening right now is way off the charts. I've never seen shit like this ever in my career, ever. And, the little boy who cries wolf says that kind of stuff a lot. But the wolf does come, remember, at the end of the story. Physical gold buying is off the charts at the highest levels. I've been talking for 4 years about draining of the world's exchanges, the stupidity of like a mud wall, that being our previous administration, who did all they could to allow the suppression of gold and silver, playing right into the hands of the rest of the world, de-dollarizing, and, as Zoltan Pozar says, accumulating commodities, right? And we played right into their hands, and they have been doing that magnificently, largely through sovereign wealth funds, which give anonymity so that they are not required to report to the IMF the way that the central banks are. We've seen a lot of central banks misreport. Oh, we forgot to report, said China, said Saudi Arabia, and we're caught by the import-export numbers. There's been a drive for 4 years, overtly, covertly, and in your face to all measures to accumulate commodities. And the West doesn't seem to notice it. Certainly the mainstream doesn't. You guys may. I've talked about it a lot, and a lot of the people you follow probably have talked about it a lot. But what's happening right now is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I want to be very clear on that. The amount of gold that has come into the COMEX market since the election, and not the, where did I find that here? Not the inauguration, here we go, but the election is off the charts. There has been more gold in just the last few weeks coming into COMEX than we've ever seen before. There's been more gold delivered in the last delivery month than ever before. 59,296 contracts stood for delivery on the February gold contract. That's surpassing the June 2020 record of 47,132. So you got 12,164 contracts more than the largest ever in the month of February. That's 100 ounces per contract. That's 5,929,600 ounces of gold. Try to multiply that times 2,900. Your calculator will go E. Who's got that bread? And that's just in the month of February. I want to talk about the ETFs in a moment, but JP Morgan is set to deliver $4 billion in gold into the COMEX for the February contract. The amount of gold that is leaving the LBMA and coming to the COMEX has never been seen before. Since the election, the United States is now a net importer of gold after being a net exporter of gold all along. These are things that should be thought about and looked at as is this time different? I believe it is. I really, truly do believe that it is. They talk about the outflows of gold. Let me find something here. They talk about the outflows of gold on the ETF, GLD. And they're trying to tell us that these outflows where, let's see, how many shares were sold out of GLD just the other day. GLD sold, or coming out of GLD, massive amounts. Let me just see the numbers here. Bear with me. I don't have Tattoo with me to keep me in good form, so I kind of got to do all this myself. But we've seen coming out of GLD a tremendous amount, something like 12 million shares. Where the hell did I put that? Give me a second. Darn it. I need to find this because it's important. How is it? Can't find it. Got to try and find this here because they are trying to tell us right now that all of the outflows out of GLD, here it is, 16 tons of gold exited GLD in the last couple of weeks. And they're trying to tell us that that's people taking profit. Let me tell you what that really is. Because first of all, how many people know that GLD was purchased, or not purchased, is now being custodied by JP Morgan? It was always HSBC Bank. And now quietly, JP Morgan and BlackRock are the custodian of both SLV and GLD. And 16 tons of gold exited GLD recently as the price has been going up $200 in a very short period of time. The shares are going the other way, the interest in it. And the talking heads on CNBC would tell you, oh, well, that's people taking profits and moving elsewhere into other opportunities. No, it's not. What that is share redemption by the big players. It's not profit taking. It's not playing the stronger dollar or the higher 10-year treasury yield. It's not that at all. It's the big money cashing out before this whole thing breaks down, and they're taking it in physical. It's the exact same thing, with all of this metal coming back into the COMEX right now, where again, $4 billion JP Morgan's putting into COMEX. How about this one? Oh, the 59,000 contracts standing for, I've never seen this stuff before. This is the big money who's freaking out. It's not the tariffs. It's on one hand, the naked shorts who are saying, maybe we need to get this back here. And that's some of it. But part of me feels that this is very, very much deeper. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, said gold is his largest holding. And then he said, we're going to monetize the asset side of the balance sheet. He just said this. Well, what assets do the U.S. government have? The U.S. government has their largest asset is student debt, 1.6 or so trillion, 40% of their assets. The next is military. Not going to asset either, or they're not going to monetize either of those things. Real estate's number 3. They could. Well, how about gold? You all know I've talked about forever gold is held in an account called the gold revaluation account. Cynthia Loomis, the senator from Wyoming, advocates to revalue the gold held by the Federal Reserve on behalf of the Treasury, sufficient enough to buy Bitcoin for the strategic account. The head of the Dutch National Bank, members of the Bundesbank, they all say the same thing. Judy Shelton, I think, will be part of the Federal Reserve. Ron Paul's going to audit the Federal Reserve. Maybe Ron becomes the head of it, nominates Judy to be on the board. I think she will. She was Trump's selection in 2016. She wasn't confirmed. She's the lady who I did an interview with, who just wrote a book, and the whole thesis is collaring gold to 50-year treasuries and then issuing stable coins off of them. And she says to me, I asked her about auditing the gold. She wants to do it. She says it needs to be done, and more or less acquiesced to my assumption of gold revaluation. Didn't say it exactly, but more or less said it. Yes, it probably will be. Gold will be revalued is what I'm getting at through all of this. It's not the Trump tariffs. It's a little bit of the short covering fear, open, naked contracts that don't have the metal behind it, and all of these deliveries. But what if it's bigger than that? What if it's kind of a ruse to suck all of the gold and silver back home? It's the only other tier 1 asset, right? Gold and silver is strategic. It's not industrial. And now JP Morgan, who paid a $920 million fine for manipulating the metals market, who's always been allowed to control SLV, which was ridiculous in and of itself, is now the custodian of GLD along with BlackRock. Isn't that pretty much kind of an extension of the government? Seems that way to me. And all of the deliveries going into COMEX were now net importers instead of net exporters. Scott Bessent wants to monetize the asset side of the balance sheet. Not much you can monetize besides real estate and maybe gold. I don't know. Something is different. The delivery mechanism on LBMA is T+1 one day. It's 6 to 8 weeks. Doesn't that seem like a default for you? Where the hell's my stuff, man? You said I'd get it tomorrow. It's going to be 8 weeks. Oh, so you never had it, right? That's a problem. And more are demanding delivery. Who the hell wants to hold our treasuries? They want to hold these things. We have 28 trillion in U.S. government bonds that will mature by 2028. 28 trillion. And that doesn't account for the ones that need to be printed each year to fund current stuff. These are ones that will mature, that have already been sold. Marco Rubio comes out and says in 5 years they'll be no longer have the ability to sanction because there'll be so many countries taking other forms of settlement, other currencies, gold, etc. I guess what I really want to say before I answer questions, the last thing is that this repatriation of gold, this net importer, which I've never seen in my career, this suggests something bigger. This is like monetization of the gold price, which I've been screaming about. I said the BIS would never reclassify gold just for shits and giggles. Why would they? They're the most powerful bank in the world. The central banks wouldn't be buying the way they were using the stupidity of our suppression unless they saw something big for gold. And now I think Trump sees it. Scott Bessent sees it. And he's kind of hinting, well, it's my biggest asset, my biggest holding, and we're going to monetize the asset side of the balance sheet. Google the U.S. government balance sheet. It's laughable. Gold is held in the revaluation account. JP Morgan is controlling GLD and SLV. I mean, put it all together. What does it seem like? All the things he's done already have been shocking. How about this one? Revalue the price of gold and collar it to the treasury market or more, and issue stable coins instead of CBDCs. Maybe they're trying to front run the BRICS. But all I can tell you is that if the governments and the central banks are hoarding gold this way and standing for delivery, what does it tell you about the future of the dollar and of fiat currencies? I've never felt this way in my career, ever as I do right this moment. And maybe it's gas. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'll take some questions now, but I don't know how many questions there are. I think people need to understand that, to me, this has never, ever, ever been, there's never been anything like this right now in this market. All right, let's go. Trump said okay, we already said that one. He's thinking of going back to a gold standard. Well, that would certainly fit the bill now, wouldn't it? As to what I'm talking about. It feels like that's why they're bringing all the gold home. And then they revalue it, and then they peg it to a new system to inspire confidence in a system that's lost it all. They parade Elon out there, and they say, listen, we've done all we can. It's bad, but if you put, for example, if you put a tariff on every product coming into this country, it would only amount at 25% tariff. It would only amount to a few $100 billion. That's a lot. It's a drop in the bucket. We gave Ukraine $200 billion. So, that's not going to work. And he's not going to touch Social Security and Medicare, is he? The interest on the debt is already as much as $1 trillion a year and growing. Where's it going to come from? So you cut all this stuff, you find ways to get rid of it. It certainly is a start, but it's not going to fix it. They have to stop spending, and we won't stop spending. So what do? You go back to a gold standard. You raise the price of gold, you revalue it. And I think that's what they're thinking. And, maybe I'm stupid for saying this openly, but something is telling me now that it's kind of like when I was saying the stuff about BRICS, and everyone thought I was nuts, and it kind of happened. And I don't know. I'll tell you that large institutions like this don't do these things just for the hell of it. And it started in November. And the fact that they went to net importer instead of exporter in November is very illuminating. These insiders know what's coming. They always know. Anyways, that's where I'm thinking on that. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, I mean, it does seem deliberate. And a lot of the people I talk to and ask them, what do you think about gold revaluation? Are they going to let it go like this? Or is it going to be a Monday morning moonshot? It seems like they're choosing just to let it go. It's the frog in a pot of boiling water. It doesn't get noticed until it falls asleep, right? And instead of cranking up the heat like that, I think they're going to let it move. But once it starts to break through these levels and gain notoriety, become noticed, I think you'll see it move much faster. But it's already moving at a clip I can't believe. I mean, let's just look real quick. It's in the last. Close that one. Stop texting me. All right, gold. If we look at the last 30 days, it was 2650 basically a month ago, and today it's 2900. It's up $250 in a month. If we look at the last 60 days, the low point in the last 60 days was 2583. So it's moving up. And that's the thing. It's not sexy. Richard Russell, who was my mentor, said, you make 7% a year, you're a rock star forever in investing. And that's been so far distorted by this belief of instant wealth creation in NVIDIA and Bitcoin and all of these things that have made people wealthy. It's very dangerous. It's created a whole generation of gamblers and people who have, I believe, misplaced expectations of how markets behave. It's put far too much premium on risk and not enough on hard work and understanding the laws of compounding. So, yeah, I think they'll probably let it go quietly up higher. Because look at this. If you would have told me gold would be at 3,000 and the American public has their head so far up their ass and don't even notice this, I would have said it's impossible. Here we are. So, I don't think they'll let it spike until the end, that last moonshot part of it. Someone asked me this question today, Richard, that might have been you already. But when I was on with Stacking Surfer, but local coin shops won't have the money to sell. Most of them won't. you have to hedge really in order to be able to do it. You have to have deep pocketbooks in order to do it, and it's an expensive business, especially as prices go higher. Um, that's the trouble of owning a local shop, because someone comes in with 20 ounces of gold these days, you're talking almost $60,000. I remember, when gold was $250 and 20 coins was, $5,000, not 60,000. And so you get people come in and try to sell. If you don't hedge, you say, okay, I'll buy that from you. I'll buy your 60 coins for, $175,000 or whatever the hell it is. And by the time you're done talking and he walks out the store, the price has moved against you and you're screwed. It's down $12 an ounce, you're screwed. Or $20 an ounce, you're screwed. So in a volatile market like that, you have to immediately hedge. So unfortunately, you have to work with larger companies to sell larger amounts, like myself or JM or SD or Money Metals or Atmex, any of the legit companies. But Glint, I don't know why he mentions Glint, but Glint would be able to, if you're saying, can Glint do it as well? Yeah, they have liquidity through some of the biggest liquidity providers on the planet, and can always buy back your stuff instantly should you want to. But yeah, it would be a problem for the local coin shops at some point, I think. I don't know the timeline, Leah. I wish I did. I mean, again, I'm the little boy who screams wolf. We're well past when I thought it would have happened, but what I see right now tells me that we're getting closer than ever. When oil went to negative $40 a barrel in 2020, that wasn't because oil all of a sudden just became too abundant. It was more a function of obviously the shipping issues, but the futures market. And the futures market for too long has controlled the price. For the first time ever in my career, where I've been focused on this stuff for 20 years at least, I would say that the futures market is almost being exposed or taking the back seat to the physical market on that level. And the crazy thing about it is, I remember when gold went through $1,000, my father-in-law sent me a text message. I still remember, as a grocery store parking lot. Congratulations, he says, gold's through $1,000. You would have told me it would be this close to 3,000 and everyone would be asleep at the switch. I'd say it's impossible. I don't know, but I think it has been moving up to a level that most people would have never believed. But it's just done so in a very quiet, non-conspicuous way. Silver, on the other hand, has disappointed the entire way up. But I think the exact same thing is true for silver. The demand for it, the amount that's being repatriated, the amount of distortions. On the LBMA, they're trading 3.5 times annual global mine supply per day, roughly 3 billion ounces per day. They settle about a tenth of that. They say they only trade 290 million, which is basically the whole float. There's 300 million ounces available for trade on the LBMA. Of the 800 million that are there, 500 belongs to the ETFs. But those numbers are 10 times or more understated because they only post the final settlement numbers. So they're trading 3 billion ounces a day, which is 3.5 times mine supply, with only 300 million standing behind it. That's a problem, don't you think? The countries who understand it look at it as an opportunity. So even though it's been going up, everything has, to a degree. Silver has disappointed, but it will catch up and probably be the opportunity of a generation before it's all said and done. But it certainly tries your patience. I get that. All right, next. I don't know the answer to that question, Mike. I wonder, is that the Mike Church that I know? The radio star Mike Church? Is that you, Mike? But I don't know that he does have the approval to do that, but he did it, and it makes sense. They did it in Canada a couple of years ago. It costs more to mint it. Why the hell mint it? It does make sense, and they're not even copper anymore. Look at all the damn things that have usurped congressional approval that are supposed to, all the executive orders and declarations of war and all that crap. So, I don't know. Student loans not liable. Yes. So they are an asset. There was a law passed, I don't know how long ago, that basically said you can't bankrupt yourself. Even if you file bankruptcy, you can't get out of your student loan debt, and they'll take your Social Security. It is on the asset side of the U.S. government balance sheet. It's receivable. Pretty crazy, huh? It's a liability to us or to our kids. It's an asset to the U.S. government, the largest asset of the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm not talking about things in the country. I'm talking about assets owned by the U.S. government. Number one is student debt. Number two is military. Number three is land. And that goes against, 200 trillion in debt? Not a good situation. Let's see here. The Fed can print money and buy gold. Why wouldn't they do that? How do we know that they're not doing that right now? Well, maybe they are. Maybe they're the ones that are actually the clients of JP Morgan. Blythe Masters, who used to run the trading desk for JP Morgan, said, we don't buy it for ourselves. It's on behalf of clients. Well, who's got that kind of bread to buy 5 million ounces of gold, or $4 billion worth in their case? Maybe it is them. Maybe that is what they're doing. Who knows? It certainly would make sense now, wouldn't it? In both cases, it would devalue the dollar and push the price of gold up higher. That's really what they want to do in both cases. Good thought. Let's see. Where are we now? Yeah, Wyoming holding 10 million of gold in their treasury. Utah did the same thing. I think their number was 50 million. You'll see more and more states do that. Texas has embraced it. A lot of states are understanding that gold and silver are wealth and an escape valve from the lunacy of fiscal irresponsibility, not only for the states, but for their constituents too. So yes, that is very cool. BRICS has been very quiet of late. Any updates or moves? Well, they just announced that Indonesia would be a full partner, a full member. They have the largest hoard of, or in-ground hoard of, nickel deposits in the world. Their president, Widodo, I believe is his name, recently called for an OPEC-style cartel for rare earths. Another 25 or so I just read have formally applied. I thought the number was a little bigger. They're purposely being quiet after what the BIS did to them at their meeting in Kazan, where at the 12th hour they pulled out of Enbridge. They had been designing Enbridge with China, Hong Kong, Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates for 4 years. Their innovation hub, the BIS innovation hub. And at the 12th hour, after it was and is operational, they said, we can't be part of any project that where one of the countries involved is being sanctioned. And it's as if they just realized for the first time that Russia is the R in BRICS. And they pulled out. It's right out of a James Bond movie. It's really gross, and it really pissed them off, the BRICS. And I think it will solidify other countries to join. They've changed the name, I believe, to Bridge instead of Enbridge. It's the same thing. But you'll see and hear more about it in the coming weeks and months, especially with Trump threatening 100% tariffs on the BRICS if they continue to move forward with a common currency. He didn't say a common settlement currency. He did say a common currency. I believe they're already in moving towards a common settlement currency. We talked about the unit before. That's what Dilma Rousseff, the former president of Brazil and the head of the new development bank, said they have agreed upon in principle. It's just the bottom line is they'll be trading local currencies and settling balances, trade imbalances in gold. It's the first step. But Indonesia is a big one. And there are a lot of countries that have formally applied and many more that have informally applied. But it is eerily quiet. I think that's all to be expected with the new Trump regime. They're letting things kind of play out, and they don't trust the West anymore. That's for sure. All right. Yep, I just mentioned that. I'm sure that you all heard that. I do think they're going to revalue gold, and I do think they will back treasuries with gold and then issue stable coins off of them. Judy Shelton more or less told me she believes it will happen July 4th, 2026. The 250th anniversary of the country. It was discussed in the previous administration with Judy. She believes it's all but done. Makes sense, too. I do, Jake, my brother. And I need to say, I'm so embarrassed. I just found out that none of these. Yeah, she's saying she's sorry. I mean, I'm so. Yeah, it's not even, it's past sorry. None of the shit's been sent out yet, and I do not like that. And it's going out immediately. And Tattoo was going to take care of it, but he didn't know what was going on. And I'm going to do it myself because it needs to go out. And I guess it's one of those things you have to do things for yourself. But as far as a gold squeeze going on, yeah, at the upper levels, brother, I do think there is. And I think it's happening on in real time. I mean, look, if it's T+1 in London and it's now 8 weeks to get your metal, that's a squeeze. If you realize they're trading in the form of gold, I don't know, at least double, twice annual global mine supply per day in gold, massive rehypothecation on both exchanges. There's a squeeze. When you see 16 tons come out of GLD, that's the insider saying, holy shit, we got to redeem our shares for the physical and get out of this before the great taking comes. And I do believe that there is the making of a real gold squeeze. Certainly not on the retail level, right? This is all at the highest levels, which will then spill over into the retail level when the people wake up. It's the weirdest market ever, Jake. The retail side is very quiet, and there have been people selling, and premiums are very low. Yet the biggest money in the world is racing to get what they can and get possession of it. And all of the moves by the U.S. government and their silent innuendos kind of hint at something big is coming. When you see them go from net export to net import and bring in the amount of gold that they have, let me see if I can tell you how much they have brought in. I have it here somewhere. They have brought in over 12.5 million ounces of gold since November and over 40 million ounces of silver. That's all moved from London to the U.S. Well, we don't even know what's coming in from Switzerland, but that's massive. They're restocking the shelves, if you will. And if you wanted to do something with gold, well, it would be good to bring it all home first under the guise of exchange for physical protection from tariffs. From the tariffs. That ain't it. He's not going to put tariffs on gold or silver. Silver's in a deficit. We need it. Not gonna put tariffs on silver when 80% of what we use for industry is imported. And gold is a monetary metal. I don't think he'll do it. Maybe he will after he sucks it all dry from the LBMA and other venues. But I do, brother. I do. And please forgive me for not staying on top of it. It's going out maybe even tomorrow. I'll do it myself. I like the XRP community. I don't know. Maybe it will be a stable coin. I think there will be stable coins. I think that's kind of what they want to do, is to issue stable coins instead of a CBDC. They still control the on-ramp and the off-ramp. They will. I could see it trading over an exchange like XRP, but maybe not the way the folks envision. Not where it will be used over XRP for perhaps how fast it can be traded cross-border and settle. But in the end, there has to be a network of somehow a way for delivery, and that's the most important thing. Once they figure that out, I could see stable coins coming up, private stable coins coming up. And again, I still think that the powers that be will control the on-ramp and the off-ramp, but the private stable coins would be much easier for the public to accept than those backed by the government. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe you should. I mean, 3.215 ounce of gold you own, you'll probably end up getting 3 ounces in an American Eagles or something, you'll lose a little bit of gold. But, in the end, how many people even know what 100 grams is in ounces? Most people don't. They don't even know that. They wouldn't look up troy ounces. They'd look up avoirdupois, I think it's called, which is different measurement. And for me, I like to stick with coins. I always have. I think that if it's the Combi bar you have that is 100-gram breakable, it's got a decent premium on it. But yeah, you'll lose gold, but in the end, I think sometimes utility and form is the best. But it's not something you need to do. But if maybe you don't own any coins and you don't have the capacity to buy anymore, yeah, maybe trade one of them or something. It's because you want to have the ounces, of course, but you need to have some utility too. Yeah, of course they are. They would, if you knew gold was going to be revalued, why would you ever tell anyone how much you buy? And I think that's, like my whole career, people would say that I would follow would say the numbers that China puts out are full of shit. They were stuck at 1,200 metric tons forever, but yet they produce between 300 and 500 metric tons. They're the largest producers in the world, and they're also between number one and number two in silver production as well. You don't really ever hear that, but they've been producing that much for at least 25 years, using the trade imbalance to even mine uneconomical gold. They play the long game. This is why the way they move is admirable. We're too fixated and infatuated with instant gratification, and that's not even fast enough. So I think that they have every interest in the world to not tell anyone, just like we haven't audited Fort Knox or the New York Fed since 1953. Believe. So yeah, and that's why they've been going around the world buying doré and concentrate directly from the miners, because that disintermediates the marketplace. One of the rules is that if the central bank buys it and if it's under 995 pure, I think, then they don't have to report it. If it's bought by a proxy bank or a sovereign wealth fund, proxy bank being one of their commercial banks, state owned, doesn't have to go to the IMF. If the People's Liberation Army buys it, they probably have more than the PBOC does, the PLA. They don't report it to the IMF. And if they're buying all the doré and concentrate, the doré is a crudely refined bar that they're paying far more than the West will pay, or the sludge concentrate, bringing it home and refining it, it disintermediates the market. Same thing happened with Saudi Arabia. They got caught by the import-export numbers. They didn't report. Sorry, we forgot. There was a statistic I just saw that as much as 40% of all the gold that has been leaving the exchanges is unaccounted for. They don't know where it's going. And that to me just reeks of the BRICS, right? And the countries that understand gold's role. Well, maybe it's the US and Trump surprising us, but I doubt it. I think the stupidity of the previous administration to suppress gold played right into the hands of these countries who have been doing just that. But if you knew, look, the BIS, they tell their buddies what to do, because it's like, the accumulation of gold really started happening in 2017 and 2018. In 2017, you had the Bundesbank request really make a big deal about getting their gold back. In 2018, well, at the end of 2017, you had the Bank of Austria, Hungary, Turkey, Poland, the Czech National Bank. They all said the same thing: give us back our gold, from the New York Fed and the Bank of England. The next year, 2018, those banks, after being net sellers for the previous 7 years, basically bought more gold as a group than they did in the 60 years previously combined. That number was doubled in 2019, and halfway through 2019, the BIS says, oh, by the way, gold's now tier one through the Basel III agreement. So they knew that it was coming, and they probably said, buy gold and bring it home. Well, the same thing is true here. If the BIS, who reclassify gold tier one, they don't do things just for the hell of it. They're saying at some point gold's going to have a significant role. So you all better start accumulating it and maybe even possess it. Why would anyone tell anyone how much they have? Because in a world where information travels so rapidly, it doesn't do any good to be so open about your endeavors, right? All you're doing is cutting off your nose to spite your face. And so whether it be the US never auditing our holdings, or China being stuck at 1,200 metric tons forever and then reporting it for a while and then recently reporting it, they've been buying it and then stopping for 6 months. And we find out, no, they never stopped at all. In fact, there are new reports saying they've been buying 10 times the amount they say they've been buying. You can't believe shit. And to think that you can is one of the big mistakes people are making about this market. Yeah, we already talked about that. Glint won't have a problem with that, and the small coin shops probably will. Oh, easy for you to type this shit out, Tom, but you can't come here with me. Tattoo. Wow. Money must vaulted silver, vaulted gold. You can take delivery and you can only sell. I have nothing bad to say about Money Metals. I think they're a legit company and they've done a great job for the industry. They have my respect in terms of the Sound Money Defense League. Nothing but highest regards and respect. This particular program I don't love, wouldn't be something I would typically recommend. I think there's nothing wrong with buying gold from them. They're as good of a company as we are, at least in terms of reputation, that I can say, at least from what I've heard. And I've never heard a bad word, right? So, let's just be fair. But their vaulted gold, where it says you can't take delivery, you can only sell to Money Metals and storage, is a fortune. Well, doesn't sound like a great deal. I don't advocate for anything that is not completely and totally segregated. That's allocated. There's a difference. That's like the stack of business cards are allocated, and you can have one of these. One of these is yours, or a piece of one of these is yours, whereas that's allocated. Well, segregated is every single one of these are yours, and it's in a box with your name on it. Allocated is, well, a whole bunch of people own this, and you own a little bit of this piece right here. No, I don't like that. I think that's the same thing as an ETF. In essence, there must have been a reason in terms of buying it. I would say you probably had much lower costs of acquisition, which is fair. But it's a pooled account in essence. And pooled accounts to me, in a world where possession means so much, if you're going to use the storage facility, and they have a damn good one, it makes more sense to own something physically segregated in your name. All right, let's keep going. Silver shortage coming. Yeah, why not? I mean, it's the same fundamentals behind gold. Maybe even more distorted, far more distorted. It's just that gold is what is catching the eye right now. I mean, there's been a lot of silver coming back as well. And in the SLV is very interesting what's going on with that right now, actually, to that point. And it would exhibit extreme supply shortages if you look at SLV, because the borrowing costs on SLV, which is how people short, has gone from 0.5% to 12% in the last few weeks. That's a massive, that's 24 times the cost. And the number of shares that are available have gone from 10 million to 10,000 in about 10 days. That's a 99.9% reduction. There's a 953 million ounce silver short position there. It's setting up for a massive short squeeze. You see the massive vault movements into London. The physical demand is accelerating on silver as well. If these trends continue, a failure to deliver scenario, I think, is plausible, and SLV is kind of saying that right now in its own way. So why not? Let's see. Who knows what that floor will be? I would say the floor would probably be somewhere. We'd have to go back and look at what the resistance was. I think the resistance, let me go look and see over the last year and give you a kind of an educated guess. Over the last 5 years, I think you could argue there's support at 2,400 is where that support would be. I think it could go as low as 2,400. Will it happen? I doubt it, but it could. Nothing goes straight up. But the market's reacting very differently than it ever has. And that's the problem, is so many people expect that beat down. That's why the little boy who cried wolf, they stop coming. And then at the end, it doesn't, and it's real. Well, I don't know, man. And I think you don't buy gold with the intention of trading it unless you're trading it. You buy it and hold it and hope you never need to use it. And if you do, you're damn glad you have it, not only for an emergency, but an opportunity. If not, give it to your kids as wealth. I would feel far better holding my money in gold than I do in fiat currency in an over leveraged, undercapitalized banking system. Why no Mark tomorrow? I have a mole on my shoulder that I have to have surgically removed, and they made it sound pretty scary. Actually, they said it's not cancer, but it will be if you don't do it. It's weird because I golf a lot and I'm outside a lot, and they said my arms, my face, my neck, everything great, but back on my shoulder, I got a mole. And I love my wife who saved my life by making me go to the dermatologist just for the full body check. And they're like, whoa, we got to biopsy that. And they said, yeah, man, that will turn into cancer if you don't get it taken off. Kind of freaked me out. So that's in store for me tomorrow. I love Mark. I wouldn't miss it if I had the opportunity to be there. I would. So I'll try and stop by tomorrow night for a sip or two of whiskey, go along with my pain pill, which probably might not be a great idea. But that's why. I'm sorry, Mark. I love you, buddy. Let's see. Why are the lease rates up? Well, that's the same thing, because there's not enough metal to go around. If there's an 8-week delivery delay, the rates are going higher because it's costing more to get it. This is, again, indicative of a system that's breaking. I would go with American Eagles. I will tell you this. For the first time in my, not my career. Well, yeah. The first time in my career, the $20 gold pieces are, I would say, well, let me say this. If you've never bought gold before, I'd stick with the Eagle or Buffalo. Brand new, U.S. Gold Eagle, Gold Buffalo. For those of you that have a lot of Gold Eagles or Buffaloes or bullion gold, I will tell you this. In my career, I have never seen a better value ever in $20 gold pieces. Ever, never. You can trade Gold Eagles straight up for 63 grade St. Gaudens, and straight up, I've never seen that before. Never seen that before. Numismatic coins right now, and I have a tremendous amount of them in stock, like far more than I probably should. But maybe more than anyone in the country. And they're the best value I've ever seen in 35 years of business. So help me God. You give us a call, talk to us, or if you already work with someone at Miles Franklin, anything you want, pretty much within reason, if it's common. I don't have all the rare stuff, but Saints, Libs, 10 Libs, 5 Libs. I got more in stock right now than I don't even know what to do with, and at no premium, zero. In 2008 and 2009, I became Diamond Elite on Delta, and I flew all around the country buying people's numismatics because when Obama was going to become president, everyone thought he was going to confiscate. The premiums went parabolic. There were auction galleries like Stax, Heritage, that were bidding on 63 Saints, as an example, probably 700 over $1,000 gold spot, $1,700. I'd pay you to buy your 63 Saint. And I'd call clients of mine and say, look, I sold you, 500 of those over the last decade. I'm going to fly out and you cannot say no. I'm coming out. I'm going to bring you 850 Gold Eagles for your 563 Saints. And it was the best thing I ever did, ever in my business, ever in 35 years. And I flew all around America for a year and a half doing that while the premiums were that high. Well, it's the exact opposite of that right now. The premiums are lower than I've ever seen in my career, and it's indicative of the public having their head up their ass and not buying metal and buying all of the risk on trade. And it's just astonishing to me. So for anyone who's got lots of gold bullion, trading it into numismatics right now is an opportunity that I've never seen, and ever. And that's 35 years. And if you can own like this, that's a $20 gold piece right there. That's a 64 grade St. Gaudens. It's probably the same price or just barely over a Gold Eagle, maybe less. If you're trading, it's a little bit different. But straight up, it should be right around the price, just barely above a gold eagle. I have never seen that before, ever. That 64 cent in 2008 with $1,000 gold, I would have paid you $1,800 for it. And many as you would sell me. So opportunity cost, none. First time buying, gold eagle or one of those, but gold eagle more straightforward. But for those of you that would like numismatics, it's never been a better time ever. Stay away from modern numismatics, pre-33 US gold. And it should be at or less the price of a brand new gold eagle, or don't buy it right now. Let's see. We got a little bit more time, just a few more. How many more questions we got? Holy shit, there's a lot of questions. Kevin's not here, dummy. Maybe that's why. Yeah, that's probably why. Where the hell are we, man? Sorry. How they're not transparent at all. Look, it's the disruptor. They're not transparent at all with their gold reserves, and we talked about that. Why would they be if they knew something was coming? What if the plan was talked about in 2017? It probably was. That is what I was saying. They told them in 2017, get your house in order. We're going to reclassify gold tier 1. And it's the same thing right now. I guarantee you they all look. The central banks are not just the wealthiest players in the world. They're the most well-informed. They know the playbook. And if you knew the playbook, well, geez, it would be pretty easy to get positioned quietly, right? You won't do it too quickly. You would just quietly do it. I may break your arm if you do that. Sorry. Nothing yet. What if BlackRock and JP? Well, that's what I was also saying. Could it be? Is that why they are now the custodian of GLD as well? And if you go back and watch Chris Marcus's interview or Andrew Maguire's interview of both of them interviewed within a few days, Bart Chilton, who talks about Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, their role I love you. Okay, that's my daughter. Love you. Their role in taking over Bear Stearns' short position and whatnot. They're connected. Wouldn't surprise me one bit at all. We already talked about that. No, it's really not. It's one of the only things that has retained a pretty significant premium. It's wouldn't be my number one choice because when the world thinks of preservation, I don't think they think of platinum the way they do gold. My buddy Maurice Jackson might disagree with me, but it's more rare. It's still a value compared to gold the way that silver is. It just to me would be third on my list, but I do like it. I think they hardly make any of it. They make 20,000-30,000 ounces a year. The U.S. Mint does. That's it. Versus over 1 million gold eagles. So yeah, I like it, but high premiums. I like it third to gold and silver. Do I like gold or tech better? I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, they're different. Tech is an investment. Gold is wealth. I think you'd make your money in tech if you think that's how you do it. If you're comfortable and move it over, take profits, siphon off every time you get above a level and put it into physical gold. The tech is changing so damn fast. Look what happened to the NVIDIA when whatever the hell it's called came out and fell by 20+% in a day. So, the tech market has had an incredible run and it's very fluid and changing very rapidly. Quantum computing, all this stuff, Google Willow. Look at the Google Willow chip. What's that going to do to things? I think they're in different parts of your financial pyramid. To me, gold is on the base of your pyramid and tech is in the top of your pyramid. Geez Louise. Well, profit's not a 4-letter word, now is it? It's a 6-letter word. That's the stupidity of most investors. They ride things up and then they ride them down instead of cashing out. And the way to do it is the way my buddy Ted, all-American wrestler, used to play blackjack. And I used to go on trips with him. Our families did. We had same size kids. We'd end up in casinos when our kids would go to bed, and he'd win every single time. Every time we'd come out of the casino, he's got a pocket full of chips. I'm like, dude, I sat with you every night, and how the hell do you keep doing this? He's like, you don't notice that every hand I win, I put a chip in my pocket. That's a smart theory. Same thing here. You want to ride it up and then ride it down because you're afraid of taxes. You're an idiot, period. That's part of the game. You pay your capital gains, you win. To sit and ride it down because you're afraid of that, you are an idiot, in my opinion, with all due respect. I don't know. I respect a lot of people in the Bitcoin sphere. I don't know enough about it. I don't really trust it. I own a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of it. I'm not a Bitcoin basher. I think we should be a united community. We should be complementary instead of adversarial. I think for those, again, that want to ride the Bitcoin trade and have belief in it, it doesn't have anywhere near the history or the market cap or any of these things of gold. Why not just play both? Play your Bitcoin, take off your profits, put it in gold. Let the Bitcoin rise, take the profits, put it in gold. Let your tech rise, take the profits, put it in gold. Stop being afraid of paying profits. And that's how you win, right? That's how the big traders win. They trade in, they trade out. They trade in, they trade out. They swing trade in, they swing trade out. They pay their taxes, they win. Those that don't are stupid. What do I think of Bitcoin? I think it's, honestly, I think it's probably maybe has legs. Maybe they're going to make strategic account. I don't know it well enough, don't trust it well enough, but I respect it enough to own a little bit. And I respect a lot the people that talk about it, guys like Mark Moss and Natalie Burnell. And these are very smart people who I've talked with about it. Even Andy Hoffman, who I used to talk to all the time, they were right. They've been right. Will they continue to be right? We'll see. It's tough to teach an old dog new tricks, especially someone who has to hold it in their hand. So I'm not a basher, but I don't know enough about it to really, really speak with intelligence the way I do about other things. Yeah, they haven't since 2008. They've hardly minted any at all. I mean, I don't think they've stopped because I don't know if I haven't seen the 2025s actually, now that you say that, at all. Let me look and see. I don't think we have any. I'm almost positive we don't. I know that last year they only made maybe 35,000. It's been that way since 2008, almost every single year. They hardly make any at all. Let me see. I doubt I have it. If I don't have it on my product list, then they haven't released it. See if Tattoo was here, he would tell me because he studies that thing like a Bible. The list, platinum. Yeah, no platinum 2025 Eagles. I only have the 1 ounce platinum lunar year of the snake in 2025. I mean, we had a couple really big orders at the beginning of the year in Maple Leafs and Britannias from the same client. He made 2 very large purchases, and we had to, luckily, it was at the beginning of the year when the allocations come out. And the guy's like, my supplier for the UK and the Canadian Mint, like, dude, you better hurry up and get it because we're taking allocations and they hardly make any and then it's gone. So have not seen any Platinum Eagles yet for 2025. So yeah, it looks that way. I don't know. I hope not. I mean, look, there's 53 Republican seats in the Senate. We have the majority. It sure shouldn't be. This is what we voted for. We voted for change, and if these people don't do it, I think they'll be held to pay. Patel, I've interviewed with twice. The dude is as smart as anyone I've ever spoken to in my life. He has piercing eyes that cut right to your soul when you're looking at him. That dude would be exactly what the FBI needs. And, I give Tulsi a lot of credit. She switched from Democrat to Republican. She's brave. She's a patriot. She doesn't deserve all the shit that she's been given. And, RFK wants to make the country healthy. He doesn't want our children to be poisoned. And I respect that also. So let's hope so. that's what the whole majority in the Senate's all about. Let's hope it goes through. Remember, this isn't the same bunch of partisan idiots that we had during the last administration that always voted along party lines and got nowhere. Maybe we can get a little bit of change this time. Kind of sounds like I didn't like the last administration, doesn't it? I didn't really like them very much. What is the premium on Platinum Eagles currently? A lot less than 315 over spot. If I have let me see if I have them. Might have some of the back dates. Yeah, I do. And they would be, I don't know, a whole hell of a lot less than that. I don't know what we have them priced at, but probably somewhere closer to just over 200 over spot, which is still ridiculously high, but a lot less than that. A lot less. In fact, I can probably tell you real quick. See what they're priced at. And this would just be, I guess, an indication, because I bet we can even do better than what I'm about to tell you. But sorry, 1 ounce Eagle. Where are you? Oh, there we go. Probably about 235 over spot or less for a Platinum Eagle. So, yeah, I am. Yep. So whoever's at 315 is pretty much way overpriced. The specials right now, Jenny, to me, are all the numismatics I have. I mean, it's just ridiculous what we have and the value of them. Silver Philharmonics are next to nothing. I don't know. They're very cheap. We have everything is on special. Everything. Gold Eagles, like $75 silver. Everything is on special. The brand new Gold Eagles, if we haven't sold, we have sold a bunch of the back dates today. I don't know if we still have them in stock, but the brand new Gold Eagles, the primary distributors need to pay over 3% for. It's at $75 over spot on Gold Eagles. You're already, they have to pay more for brand new Eagles than I can sell them to the public for the back dates. That's not a good thing. That's adding to the supply overhang on top of the selling and early in the year for Nvidia and Bitcoin and the Trump euphoria. You have the 2025 allocations, which have put an overhang on things. Let's see. Yeah, I just, is that the Mike Church that I know? Has he responded? Did I? Oh, okay. He's not the radio guy. Radio guy Mike Church is awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, you could argue it is. I mean, that's the home of Davos and the World Economic Forum and the Bank of International Settlements in Basel. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there, I'm sure. Probably right. Yeah, Mark Moss is a good dude. I spent a little bit of time talking with him in Vancouver. We almost closed down the bar, but I got too tired. We were there for a good amount of time talking. He's a brilliant guy and a very, very, very nice guy as well. My wife says he's so cute. Yeah, he's a handsome guy. He's a stud, to say the least, and real guy. John Hawk. Oh, hey, John. How are you, bro? Good to see you. What if tariffs can only be what if tariffs can only be paid in gold and silver like it was in the past? I don't know if they will do that, John. I have a hard time thinking that they would do tariffs on gold and silver. If I am understanding what you're saying, silver especially, because we have to import silver about 80% for manufacturing. So, but John is another one of the good guys, and John hooked me up with the guys at Goldback, and we are moving rapidly towards being able to offer them as a distributor. So John has my sincere appreciation. All right, let's see. I got time for a couple more, man. It's been a long day. How much do you want to lose? I don't know. I mean, how much exposure do you want to a system 200 trillion in debt and a banking system that's over leveraged and undercapitalized and the whole 9 yards. I don't know. For me, I'd work backwards from there. Magic cards. The hell, who collects magic cards? I collect baseball. Those are old baseball and football and basketball cards. I have no idea. Magic cards. Who the hell collects magic cards? I have no idea, man. I don't know. Ask a magician. I am not a magician. I love Johnny Bravo. I love Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo said something the other day, and I have yet to confirm it anywhere else. Maybe some of you out there can confirm it. And I don't know Johnny Bravo to have ever said anything that I couldn't immediately confirm. It's very strange, but he said that there was a whole bunch of money donated to the Clinton Foundation that was supposed to go to Haiti, and $3 million ended up in Chelsea Clinton's wedding, paying for it, and $10 million in her mansion. Anyone else see that? He said it, almost fell off my chair and threw up. You would think that's criminal, right? You would think that would be outed by now, but I don't know. I don't know. What? My daughter laughed and my wife said, "Don't do that again." All right, a couple more. BlackRock holds Bitcoin and JP Morgan holds I'm supposed to talk about my other daughter who's finding the realities, and she's a straight A student, the realities of a labor market that's fugazi. But anyone who works in the what would you call it? Public relations, PR, media. My daughter is a catch. She needs to come intern for you. Now she wants me to show a picture of Lola. It's much easier to do this without my wife chirping in the background, but I don't have a picture of the both of you that's relevant. Sasha. I always show the same picture of Lola, and she looks very pretty in it for sure. She's a beautiful young lady, and she's looking for an internship. This is Lola right there. She's very pretty. She's a junior in college, and anyone who wants to have an aspiring young PR straight A student, my daughter, work for them, and an intern, let me know. There, you happy? It's brownie points right there. I think gold will be linked with crypto, Pamela. I do. I think it'll be in the form of a stable coin. I think for sure. They got to figure out how to deliver it. That's the hard part. I got time for two more. That's about it. I'm getting tired. Higher than anyone thinks possible. I don't know what that number is. You hear all sorts of numbers. Jim Sinclair used to say 10,000. James Rickard says 24,000. Every $4,000 increase adds $1 trillion free and clear to the treasury. And Trump wouldn't need any congressional approval. He would tell Scott Bessent to revalue gold, or tell Jerome Powell to revalue gold, and that's it. It's done. So, that's it. This one, this is a tougher one because the premiums on 100-ounce bars suck. If you were trading them straight up, depending upon what they are, their name brand bars, if you were trading them, not selling them outright, but if you were trading them, I would do them at 50 cents or so back a spot. You look at what all these other companies are using, it's ridiculous. If you're selling them outright, that's probably going to be a little higher than that, a little lower than that. But if you're trading it, yeah, it could be as low as 50 cents if they're really nice name brand bars. Because we are going to make sure that it's as equitable as possible. But I guess you could make the argument for it, because on the other side, the Morgans and Peace are really cheap. It's not the same thing as trading gold eagles for numismatics, but it's intriguing. I could see the rationale for doing that. All right, one more, maybe two. What does this say? Well, if gold went to 120, 130,000, as nuts as that sounds, it would almost completely balance the balance sheet. And I think it's 140 grand, would at least the 36 trillion. Of course, that doesn't take into account the unfunded liabilities of about 175 trillion, but it would balance the balance sheet pretty damn close. And if you realize that gold and silver have had a 5,000 year symmetrical relationship, not always completely symmetrical, but they follow one another. Symbiotic, I guess, is a better word of saying. Even if you take 80 to 1, shit, you're talking huge high amounts. So higher than you can imagine. That's a tough one to answer. But the difference would be that gold would be tied to a new system. I think silver would be recognized as, again, poor man's gold, and everyone would buy silver instead of gold because gold was just too expensive. But silver is, to me, strategic. And I think we'll follow suit with gold as time goes on, but different for different reasons. All right, this is it. Last question. Well, we hedge it just fine. We hedge everything on COMEX, whereby if I have 5,000 ounces of gold in my inventory, I sell 5,000 ounces on COMEX. As one goes up $100, making me $500,000, the other goes down commensurate. I lose $500,000. I'm always market neutral, and to do otherwise is quite speculative. You can, some do. I believe SD Bullion, Tyler Wall said he doesn't hedge. I think that's. I've never really thought about doing it because it's scary to me, but it's worked out for him. They're one of the best companies in North America. So some do, some don't. I do. I like to sleep well at night, and I don't like to speculate on my inventory. I would rather be market neutral. So we hedge, we sell all of that to the market, opposite of what we buy in our warehouse, and vice versa. I'm about ready to fall over. It's been a long day, and unfortunately, I have to have my shoulder chopped off tomorrow.
Oh my God.
I'm being dramatic. Okay, not really chopped off, but a little mold taken off. So I'm going to sign off. I love you all. I appreciate y'all hanging with me. It's kind of cool to hop on and have people here to talk to. I don't know. It's weird. It's somewhat bizarre. I've decided I don't need Kevin anymore. So Tattoo may not be welcome back. I don't know. What do y'all think? Should I bring Tattoo back or not? But I hope you all do well. Stay well. Have a good evening. The Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times, is still in force. And I think it's going to be far more interesting maybe than even the last 4 years, but for different reasons. So I'll be here, God willing, every week to talk with y'all. Lots of big news coming up for Miles Franklin that I'm not able to mention yet, but really close. Big news. Few things. And I look forward to being able to do that. So kick him to the curb. We want Lola. We want Lola. Yeah, Lola's very pretty. Lola's very cool. Yeah, and she just wants an internship so she can. Do you understand how stupid that sounds, by the way? I mean, for God's sakes. My daughter is spending 5 months in Amsterdam. I mean, in Barcelona. I probably would have been in Amsterdam. She's in Barcelona, and she can't enjoy herself because she has to get an internship. I said, dude, what are you doing? Just enjoy yourself. This is like the one time in your life before you're an adult where you can actually enjoy yourself. But no, in all seriousness, if anyone's looking for an internship in a PR firm, I will personally vouch for her and pay you in gold and silver for doing it. So, with that being said, Tattoo, you're off the ship. You have to earn your way back on. And for everyone else, I'm going to apologize for my staff for completely shitting the bed and not sending this stuff out. I'm going to do it personally because I can't rely on anyone else, and it really aggravates me it didn't happen. If you won, you'll get your stuff very quickly, and it's going to be packaged like a chump because I'm going to do it myself, but whatever. Other than that, I hope you all have a great evening, and you guys stay well. We'll see you again real soon. Peace.